Hello once again everyone, and welcome back to the long-awaited next installment of Getting More Out of Thomas Page. Sorry for the long delay, but getting things cut out of your face does that to you. Joining me once again is Eric. Now we're going to do a little bit of a flip. My original intention for the series was that I would be kind of exclusively showing the teacher side of things, the unspoken part of the lessons, and then Eric would be doing those lessons on me, and that's what we're talking about. For sake of I can no longer get hit for the moment, we're going to switch that around. So Eric will be taking the coaching role, and I will be doing the lesson for now. So, lesson 3 is all about cultivating those slips that we worked on last time and putting them into application. So for this, our first action is we are going to approach under an outside guard. So I get into distance. I'm going to throw full force at his inside, which he's going to stop. Now from here, I'm going to recover back like I normally would, which gives him an outside target to hit. This is the bait that I'm trying to make. Important thing for this, a lot of people won't wait for that target to be available. They'll try to catch and throw instantaneously. It's not a surefire hit. If you will wait for the person who threw that inside to have to come back, you have a lot better target area of things to hit. You can kind of hit anything on their outside, which is why we have to focus on the outside guard so much. So I recommend, be patient. If you stopped an inside, really be patient. You have a lot of options. But since he's going to go for that target, I'm going to pull it back into my outside slip, let it pass or let it only barely hit, and then throw full force at his inside again, which for this first bit, Eric will allow me to strike it. So, I approach under my outside guard, throw, slip, fire. And again, we talked about this before. When he first describes this particular slip, he says still throw a number 2, but from this lesson, he says to throw at the inside again. Part of this is because we're conditioning him then for the second part of the lesson, but it is a little slower, so you're going to have to be really fast. However, Eric stopping that or what have you does put me in a very good position for a lot of other things. So it's not the end of the world if he stops my cut. It's more about he's now on the back foot because he just hit air, essentially. So here it's that again. I approach, throw, whoop, boom, and just get that nice and quick. And you want to really be courageous when he throws that 2. Remember, you got a lot of time before that 2 is a real thing. Try to only just barely dodge it and get whatever you can. If you're dealing with someone who likes to cover like this, and then throw really, really big, this is a fantastic thing to use because they're going to be super exposed when it finishes. Just be aware that those cuts tend to go lower, so you may need to slip a little bit further back with that leg. But I digress. Second part of the lesson. Eric stops that inside shot, and I'm going to recover an outside, and we're going to set a little trap that we're going to talk about later. So let's get to that point. I approach, throw, slip, throw, and now from here, rather than recovering inside the same, I recover back to an outside and look at it. Eric's not done. If he throws at my inside right now, a couple things can happen. I'll either stop it and take any of those openings that he got to take, and that's a lot harder, or I might slip it already. He doesn't want to do that because he knows both those options are there. I've opened up his play. So he pauses. So, to alleviate his concerns, I go ahead and switch to an inside. He might maintain the true cross. He might not. Doesn't really matter. But he's still not going to throw right now. I'm the one who's in the initiative. So now is where you can make an opening. Page is not necessarily very specific, but the most likely thing this is this also mirrors a later play from Henry Angelo, where he describes the idea of going into an inside guard and then dropping your sword to get them to go for you so you can slip and catch and then riposte. Same idea, except rather than slipping to catch, we're going to just slip in general. So we're back in our inside guard. Eric won't throw at me, so I go ahead and kind of let my arm be more lackadaisical, even let that tip drop, so when he goes for it, I have that nice tight little slip to get that hand or get that head or what have you. And again, it doesn't have to actually fully dodge. There, Eric's tip hit my forehead. He couldn't stop himself from going through. That's the point of the slip. So, even if he throws immediately from here, you can do the same thing, but the lesson describes fully the switch, the opening, the dodge, what have you. So let's go through that slowly as I narrate it, and then we'll do a little more regular speed. So, I approach, throw it as inside, slip the outside, throw it as inside, recover outside. Switch to inside, open up my play, dodge, hit. And life is great, grand, and wonderful. Now here's one a little bit more dynamically. Right? Just nice and straightforward. I didn't even get the prettiest slip. I did more of a retreat as opposed to a slip. But it's the same idea regardless. And from there you can continue to work, etc. But the big thing that this lesson cultivates, besides just the slip itself, is these little moments of pause and these choices of guard. I can't necessarily tinfoil hat too much about this, but at least given how things then go in the loose playing later in the book, I do think you're going to see a lot more instances of we just had some sort of exchange of blows, one of us pops back, and there's that moment of pause where we're not fully out of distance where we can safely drop our guard again and have to deal with re-engagement. But we're more in that middle place where, sure, if he fired a big lunge, he could maybe get me, but there's a lot of issues with that too. So there's that moment of, well, let's wait for a second and see what can happen. For example, what I just did there. We're sitting here, and this will be something we talk about later. I'm going to start changing my guard to time his guard. That's a wonderful thing to fire from that distance, and then I can spring out or what have you. So those little pauses, Paige does not specifically say they exist, but with the guard changes, etc., that I think is the best interpretation that I like to use for it. We've had an exchange, we're still in distance, the fight's still on, but it's a mental game for a second, then another explosion of action. So here's that one more time. I'll narrate it, then we'll do it again regularly. So narration, approach, throw is inside, slip is outside, throw inside, recover outside, inside, give an opening, whoop, hey, life is great. Now here's another regular one. Nice and fun. So, thank you very much, Eric. And thank you all very much for watching. It actually is a little shorter than you expect, but I had to get Eric used to doing the flip side of things and decide exactly how I want to present it. This is the model that we'll use going forth. I cannot guarantee weekly uploads. I will try my best to get back to putting this series up regularly. So next time, we'll be talking about lesson 4 and all the fun stuff involved therein. So, thank you very much, Eric. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll go over some other techniques another time.